Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of the Pill Method Club, founder of Pill Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And today we are in the Mortgage Syndicate Club. So if you're not a member of the Mortgage Syndicate, oh my goodness, you're missing out. You want to click that little green mansion above my head there and join this club. And they're on every weekday from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time, giving out valuable data on mortgages, real estate, short-term rentals. Let's see, what else? Social media marketing, all sorts of information guaranteed to level you up financially. So we're here today talking about how to pay off all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years and everything that goes along with it. We want you to understand your money a lot better. And in the meantime, folks, why don't you go ahead when you have an opportunity and look up sinking funds? We're going to put something on the screen that has to do with sinking funds here in a minute so we can understand the idea of a sinking fund. So if you know what a sinking fund is, so go ahead and put a number 1 in the chat if you know. Good morning, Dr. Brittany Toole. Good morning to you. If you know what a sinking fund is, put a number 1 in the chat. Please put a number 1 in the chat if you know what a sinking fund is. If you don't know what a sinking fund is, put a number 2. Put a number 2 in the chat if you don't know what it is. And we're going to get some information up on the screen to help you to understand it. Okay, Dr. Brittany says, I don't know what a sinking fund is. Okay, Deandra Clark says, I don't know what a sinking fund is. When I describe it to you, you probably will know that, well, I've heard about, I know something about this, or I do something like this. I think of, you guys, have you ever heard of a Christmas club? Okay, if you heard of a Christmas club, go ahead and put a number 3 in the chat. If you heard of a Christmas club. Good morning, Miss Dawn. How are you doing?
Amazing.
All right. A Christmas club is a sort of a sinking fund. Okay. So think of a Christmas club putting away money monthly into that club so you can have money for Christmas. And think of it like, okay, instead of a Christmas club, what about a fund for car repairs? So you're putting away money every month for car repairs, or you're putting away money every month for home repairs, putting away money every month for any eventuality that may or may not come up. Okay. So I was watching a video the other day on YouTube about sinking funds. And this young lady who swears by sinking funds, she has 18 of them, okay, to cover a myriad of financial situations. And I mean, in one fund, she has over $9,000 in just one of those funds, and she has 18 of them. I'm going to show you how there is a better way to have money available to you. And the reasons why people do sinking funds is to keep from using credit cards. So can anybody understand why somebody would want to save money, cash? Can anybody understand why people would want to save cash, all right, to keep from using a credit card for Christmas or for emergency car repairs and that sort of thing? Does that make sense to you? You can put a yes if that makes sense to you. All right. But we're going to show you there's even a better way. There's even, oh, Dawn, you're going to get a yes from you. Dawn, come on. Listen, tell the people who you are and what you do and why you said yes.
Hey, I think that lady might be my cousin. We might be twins. So, hey, everyone, I'm Dawn Robinson. I'm a personal finance educator, single teenage mom turned millionaire by age 44. Own 5 properties, single families, free and clear. But that's my highlight reel. What most people won't tell you is how they got there. Made a whole lot of money mistakes. Got a bad boss. I always say I wanted to tell her she was number 1 with a different finger. And then couldn't afford to quit. then decided to get real about my finances. When I finally scooped up everything in a nice little pile, I had $140,000 in consumer debt, 4 cars, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and whole bunch of other people on my payroll. So now I'm on a mission to help women over 40 who make good money, are secretly struggling to figure out this money thing, how to save enough, how to pay off debt, and how to invest, and understand that they can still start late and finish rich. Because I believe that you're not financially free until work becomes optional. So, Don, I'm excited about this because I am a cash hog, and we have conversations about this often. So, let's see how it goes today, y'all. I might not agree with Don on everything, so let's see how this one goes today.
Oh, listen,
Thanks, guys.
listen. Dawn, if you disagree with me, are you afraid to say so?
Of course not. But you always make good points. We just don't always agree. But they're always valid points. And I'd be like, yeah, but I kind of like the way my cash feels.
Oh, listen, everybody. Listen, everybody. Listen, we're going to be taking a look at all sides of this thing. And we need you to come up to the stage to put your 2 cents in about this idea of cash versus credit. And so what we're going to be looking at is people have this cash on the side to keep from borrowing money. Can anybody tell me why they would want to avoid borrowing money, especially using a credit card for emergencies? Can anybody tell me why they would want to do that? Listen, I want to hear your ideas on this because it's going to be very, very important. And while you're making up your mind to come to the stage to tell us your ideas or put it in the chat, Credit Goddess, how are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you, Don?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Please tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, absolutely. Happy Sunday, everybody. My name is Rosa Laura Lewis. I'm also known as Credit Goddess. I am all things credit. First, I'm a credit score improvement strategist. So not only do I help my clients repair their credit, but I have contributed to America's credit score average of 712. I have through education. So not only do I help my clients repair, but through education, I help them optimize and also improve their credit so that way they can be in the best position to qualify for funding, purchase their home, start their business, obtain premium credit cards, and all the whole nine. I'm also a NAV loan broker. So I help my startups, I help business owners obtain capital. And then lastly, I am an educator at Free University. As I educate on both personal and business credit. So I'm here to provide value wherever I can, and I'm ready to hear the debate between Don and Don on sinking funds and not thinking funds. So I'm here. Thank you, Don.
You are so welcome. And we have Kirk the Bank Barnes in the building. Listen, Kurt is in here every single day, folks, opening up the mortgage syndicate. And I told him I was going to be here on Sunday. And he says, Don, you never told me. And I said, well, listen, I'm telling you now. So I need you to be here on Sunday. And look, it's bright and early Sunday morning. Kirk the Bank Barnes, how are you this morning?
Good morning. Good morning, Don. How are you doing?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Kurt, will you tell little folks a little bit about who you are and what you do, please?
Sure. And I do appreciate you for letting me know that the room was on. I did not know. So thank you. Kirk the Bank Barnes, commercial loan broker, also a short-term rental operator out of New York and a buy and hold investor. We provide value wherever I can. And thanks, Don, for inviting me.
All right, folks, listen, I've got some things in the chat back here. Thank you, Kurt. And we're looking at sinking funds.
Don, you're muted.
All right. Thank you, Kurt. Listen, folks, we're talking about sinking funds. If you want to see the examples we're going to be putting on the screen, please, you can go to my 10K card, which is above our heads. Click on that link, and then you'll also be able to see the different ways to view us live. All right. You'll be able to see Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. If you want to watch us live there, you just click on those links on a separate device, and then you'll be able to see our information live right now, all right, in real time. So, folks, it's going to be a little exciting today because I'm putting this on the screen right now. Can we go to put the on the screen right now? There it goes. So this is my YouTube page right here, folks. And so I'm going to search sinking funds. Sinking funds. And as you can see, there are all sorts of sinking funds in here. Sinking funds in cash envelopes, sinking funds explained for beginners, categories, update, low income. It's a budgeting strategy whereby people put cash away in either actual envelopes or electronic envelopes. They have several different bank accounts. I've seen people do that, but they keep that cash. They put cash away every single month so that they can have the money available just in case something bad happens. So, Credit Goddess, have you heard of a sinking fund?
I'm going to be honest with you. No.
No. Okay. But you may not have heard that term, but are you familiar with the strategy?
If I've never heard of the term, I'm not sure of the strategy.
Okay.
But I mean, if you can tell me what a sinking fund is, because I was going to ask you, what is that?
Okay. A sinking fund, if you think of a Christmas club where you're putting cash away every month for a specific purpose. A Christmas.
Like a
Yeah, no. A Christmas club is like a sinking fund, or people who put cash away every month in the bank or in an envelope for an eventual car repair.
I think emergency fund would help people understand. It's like an emergency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard an emergency fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's why you have me. See, I'm a great co-host.
there you go. There you go.
You
And
throw it back over there to Credit Goddess when we're talking about credit.
Yeah.
an emergency fund is a sort of a sinking fund. Okay. And listen, folks, how many think it's a good idea? Okay. How many think it's a good idea of having cash on hand just in case something goes wrong instead of borrowing the money? All right. And Elizabeth Bates says, never heard of that before. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at. So I'm going to click on this. And do you see how many people here are talking about sinking funds? It is a popular. Now, this young lady, I listened to a lot on this on sinking funds here. This young lady here, and it is a very popular budgeting tool. Okay, and Dawn, go ahead and tell us what you have in the chat here and what you mean by that. So go ahead and share with us, would you please, Dawn?
So I believe that was in response to your question about why would someone want to keep cash versus using their credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say, one, I like to see my cash.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a warm and fuzzy. It makes my toes curl up in my boots. And I like it. Even though people say cash is losing value, I'm like, I've never been to the bank looking for $20,000 and it wasn't in there unless I didn't put it in there. So it's not going anywhere. So the safety and security of it all. And I was around in 2008, 2009 when the HELOCs were shut down, the credit lines on your credit cards were shut down. And I just, those are the things that we don't talk about. So that's one of the reasons. And even with real estate, there's times where there's a larger expense and maybe I don't have the reserve, during COVID, right? I had 3 months for each house. And if nobody paid for 18, 24 months, it was coming out of my pocket. So I like a reserve fund for my properties as well. So that's me. I'm done speaking. Thanks, Dawn.
You okay? Okay. So Dawn, in keeping that cash on hand, well, if let's say you did have the lines of credit available, because I've been on the planet for maybe a couple of decades, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. I stopped counting. I don't need you to count them for me. Okay, but 2008 was an anomaly. Okay, where we had the credit lines shut down the way they were. So that's not something that's going to happen all the time. But let's talk about using credit versus cash. Can we have that conversation? Why people would want to use cash instead of credit to make sure that they have money available for these eventualities? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. You're up.
Yeah, so for me, it's been a life learning lesson. I'm not anti credit card. I do use my credit cards. I just noticed that I spend more because most people aren't using credit cards just for this emergency. They're using them for, if you like me, I like TJ Maxx, I like Amazon. And so I overspend. So my credit card is not just sitting there for that, if that's what I intended to be. But if I use a sinking fund account, like you say, let's talk about, I use one for dining out. Then when I go eat and I have $200 in there, it keeps me from overspending $200. Because when I go with my girlfriend, I'm like, hey, girl, my card declined. It ain't the joke. Like, I really don't have it in there. But you know what I mean? So it's not, I can't overspend in that account because it's going to decline. Where my credit cards, I can. And I also use my, let's say if I were doing car maintenance, I would take it out of that account. I'm likely to swipe on my credit card, but I will pay it right back either at the counter or, you know, when I get home. But I'm gonna do it then to keep me from overspending.
Okay, so it's keep you from overspending. So if you have a cash envelope, whether it's an actual envelope or an electronic one, it's there to keep you from overspending. Is that what I'm hearing? So once the cash is gone out of that envelope, you're done spending. Is that it?
That's the main thing because I like to control my cash flow. I like to know I have $1,500, $2,000 extra. I like to know that, and because a lot of times people don't prepare. We think a budget is a list of our bills, and a budget really is a spend plan that tells us, okay, groceries, gifts, Christmas, a bar mitzvah. You know, we're not thinking about all those little things, and that's what reduces your cash flow monthly. So then you reduce the amount of money you have to do other things consistently. So that's kind of how I have learned that it works for me.
Okay, okay. So let's. Anybody else want to chime in from the stage about cash versus credit in helping to manage your finances? Anyone else want to chime in?
I'm late to the class, but I can speak on that in terms of building. I don't know, but I'm just jumping in. Um, Building that credit with, I don't use cash. For everything I use credit, and credit, it just boost my numbers and make me more likable, lovable to the bank and all lenders. So that's what I do. The only time cash is used is if they do not, and I'll use a debit card if they do not accept credit card. Hope I was right. I was in the back of the class. I was late to the class. Thank you, everyone.
Well, there's no right or wrong here. There's just ideas. So Donna, tell us who you are and what you do, please.
I'm a registered nurse by profession, assisted living, independent living owner operator, business purpose loan, commercial loan lender, located in Canada. I'm here always to add value where I can, always a student, and here to learn.
All right, folks, listen, we have all sorts of people on the stage. Please raise your hand if you want to come up. I see hands going up and we're trying to invite. So folks, moderators, please help me to bring people to the stage. I'm trying to invite them up, but for some reason I can't, I guess they can't see me invite them. So moderators,
Yeah, I'm not seeing any hands raised on.
there you go. I got Steve that just came up. So listen, folks, we're going to listen to Steve here for a minute. We've got Miss Deanna. Steve, do you have a question or a comment? Go ahead and push that. Your microphone is in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Go ahead and unmute and give us your question or comment, Steve.
Yes, can you hear me? Hi, and thanks
Yeah.
for allowing me to come up on the platform first. Second, I came from a different type of environment. It was all based on cash. Let me just say it like that. Now I'm a commercial cleaner, so I've grown a lot. I gave back to the community, doing a lot of things. To make a long story short, I managed my cash better back then versus credit now. Majority of it was from a lack of knowledge. So once I gained it, I said, okay, I'm going to hold my cash and stash it and play the credit game so I could force all my limits. Because coming from that world I came from, it took me a long time to save $1 million. And I think now, well, I don't think I know, I could get $1 million in credit quicker than it took me to save $1 million.
All right. Thank you very much for your input there, because that sounds pretty good. So, Miss Deanna, how are you doing this morning?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. But I'm here to learn.
Okay.
I came up here because I'm in a lot of debt, credit card debt and IRS debt. And I want to know about why what is your reasoning behind saying emergency funds are not thinking funds, since you're including them amongst sinking funds?
That's a very good question. So, Miss Deanna, would you mind, about how many credit cards do you have?
About 12,
About 12. Okay.
13.
All right. Did you know the average family in the U.S. has about 13 different debts?
No.
Yeah, average family has 13 different debts. And those are people that are doing quite well. So we're going to take a look at your situation and see why I say sinking funds are not thinking funds, in terms of why people don't want to use credit. They would rather use cash over credit. Can you give me a reason why people would want to use cash as opposed to credit? The main reason? What do you think?
Because they don't want to get in debt like me.
Okay, all right. So we talked about the debt. Now, what's driving that debt? What is the problem with debt? What's the main problem with debt?
The problem with debt is the interest rates are a killer if you don't pay it off at the end of the month, and if you don't pay at least more than the minimum. I used to be far better, and I will soon again, once I sell my house, be far better with money, with financial management. But because like I used to pay always 3 times more than the minimum due, even when I didn't pay it all off at the end of the month. And I did that for a couple of decades at least. I'm sorry, I'm fighting something from a cold here, so my voice is trailing off a little.
All right.
But yeah, so
So let me ask you a question. When you were doing that, were you putting more than the minimum on more than one credit card?
yes, all of them. I mean, my credit has, for the most part, for the last 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
been excellent for the most part, and for at least 20 of those years, that's what I did. I paid 3 times more than the minimum due.
Mm-hmm.
But I also always kept my balance, like pretty much my credit utilization at about 50%, which everyone advises so strongly against now, and it never harmed me back then. Now it shows more as a negative, but it didn't for the longest. I don't understand what the massive change is. I mean, it's not that massive because my credit is excellent again, but I do see it being used more against me now than it was then in terms of the credit score.
All right, folks, thank you, Miss Deanna. We're getting comments from all over the place on this particular thing. So, Miss Deanna, we're going to keep you on the stage, and so let's mute her mic, and then we're going to try to get somebody else up on the stage who might have some more ideas on this credit thing. Why people want to use cash instead of credit. And why do I say sinking funds are not thinking funds? Okay, because it has to do with the interest that's involved. People don't want to pay interest. And I get that. And, people tell me all the time, Don, I don't pay interest on my credit cards. I pay my credit cards off every single month. And I said, well, and I want to know why they do that, because of what Miss Deanna said, because of the high interest rates. So right now, I want to introduce you to the concept of interest rate versus interest cost. Interest rate versus interest cost. I'm going to put on the screen right now, we're going to put on a $200,000 mortgage. Okay. All right. So I'm putting on $200,000 mortgage at 6%. All right. $200,000 mortgage at 6% right there. Okay. Oops, that's 600,000. We want 200,000 at 6%. And now there it is. Okay. Now I'm also going to put on a $10,000 credit card. Somebody give me an interest rate. Miss Deanna, would you mind giving me an interest rate on this credit card here?
I'm not looking at, I'm not on Zoom. Are you on Zoom? I don't, because you're showing something.
Oh yeah, I'm showing something. So if you want to see it, do you have a way, or you have like a tablet or your laptop handy?
Well, I'm on my phone.
Right. So if you
still get the Zoom on my phone.
Well, then you can't. Then if you do that, then you can't. You won't.
I would lose my.
You would lose.
Okay.
You would lose the audio from Clubhouse. So here's we're on. If you go to YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter,
Okay.
or YouTube or Facebook, you can search P.I.L.L Method, and then you'll find us there, and then you'll see the live, and you'll be able to watch. You'll be able to see the screen that we've got these examples of. Folks, if you're new to the room, watching these examples, watching the numbers is going to be so important to you when we understand why sinking funds are not thinking funds. Okay. All right. So you want to be able to see. So Miss Deanna, you said something about high interest rates. Give me a high interest rate that you would not want to have.
Say honestly, anything over 12% is too high to me.
I know, but I've seen them higher.
I know store cards.
Yep.
And certain other cards have like anything in the 20s. That's like beyond.
Oh boy! So give me one in the 20s then. Give me an interest rate in the 20s.
24.
Oh, okay, 24%. All right. Now here's the thing. So if you're using an amortization schedule, folks, all right, all credit cards are amortized over 240 months. So you want to write that down. Okay. So that's the first thing we want to know. All right. So when you put in the number of payments, you're trying to figure out how much the interest is on these credit cards. You want to know they figure it an amortization over 240 months. So what we're going to be looking at 24% interest on this. Okay. And here is the first interest payment. The interest only payment is $200. Okay. On a $10,000 card at 24%. Now, here's what I need you all to understand. 24% a year, Miss Deanna, is 2% a month. 2% a month. Okay. So if I were to pay off this credit card today, all right, if I were to pay it off today, if I were to pay $10,000 and pay it off today, how much interest would I save? Based on what I just told you. The interest cost for this month is $200.
I'm sorry, I just got distracted. I just got an alert out of the blue on my phone, and I was tapping something at the same time, and it disappeared while we were talking. Oh, listen.
Do you know? Listen, all sorts of things are trying to get in the way of this information. So here's what I'm trying to say: is the interest cost on this card is $200. Okay, so if I pay off the $10,000, I will save $200 in interest. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So if I pay the whole thing off, I would save that $200. Now, does that seem like a lot of money in interest to pay to you on that month on the $10,000?
Yes.
Okay, it does. All right. Now, here's what I also want to show you. I'm going to put on a $200,000 mortgage at 6%. All right. I'm also going to put it at 3%. And I want to show you something here. All right. So we're going to duplicate the tab. We're going to do $200,000, not only at 6%, but we're going to do it at 3%. And I want to show you something here. Get that out of the way. All right. Now, so here is the interest on this mortgage at 3% is $500. So is that more than the $200? Miss Deanna?
Yes.
Okay.
It's more.
Yes.
Okay. So now here's what I'm trying to say. If we pay off the $10,000 on this card at 24%, we're going to save $200 in interest. Okay. Let me show you something here. If we take that $10,000 instead of paying off the card, okay, and we put it on the mortgage, $10,000, I need you to see that $10,000 on this mortgage saves us $14,000 in interest.
Dan, can you please stay on? We're trying to mute you. You keep coming off mic. Off mute.
All right. So are you typing on your phone, Deanna?
Yes, I was typing notes.
Oh. All right. Okay. So, all right. So here's what we're doing. So folks, do you see what I'm talking about here? To pay off the credit card this month, I saved $200. That's the interest they were going to charge me. If I put if this mortgage is even at 3%, if I put the $10,000 on my mortgage, I knock off over 2 years worth of payments. Almost 2.5 years worth of payments are gone. I turn my 30-year mortgage into 27.5 years immediately with the same $10,000. And I save about $14,000 in interest. Does anybody have any comment on that? Miss Dawn, do you follow where I'm going here?
Of course I do. And here's my little snapback.
Come on, snapback.
Let me tell you. So yes, you're absolutely right. If you look at whether you should pay off your credit card versus paying down on your mortgage, you will save more. My challenge here is that most people don't have the systems, they don't have the habit, they don't have the strategy to even get to that amount of money. And when they hear use the credit card, they feel like the same bad habits that they have that's keeping them in credit card debt is what you're talking about. And it is not. And most people, I believe that most people that pay off their credit cards in full now are recovering credit card abusers, right? So now they've learned to do something efficiently or effectively using leverage and credit, but they didn't always do that. Most of us are rehabilitated. And so, but when we hear use debt, they're not learning how to do it the proper way. And I think what you're going to show them is once they get their habits, once they get some money, because you're not saying take everything out of your sinking funds, you're saying use a certain amount, which I do agree with. And this is why you want to do it, because this is going to save you the most. So that's just my little snapback. But I agree, and then I don't agree. So this is
Dawn is snapping back, folks. Listen, she's absolutely right. You want to do this in the right way. I'm just showing what happens when we oversimplify and saying, I don't want to pay credit card interest. Okay. And I'm very proud of the fact that I don't pay credit card interest, where we pay 5 times, 10 times, 20 times the interest on a mortgage, and we don't think about it at all.
Now that's where the magic happens, Don. You can preach all day, and I will dance to every beat when you talk about that. I totally agree on this one.
Okay, so folks, here's what we want to do. We want to make sure that whatever our money is doing, we want it to work the very hardest it can. Okay, and what I'm trying to say is, if you have several $1,000s. This one young lady has 18 different sinking funds. And just in one of them, there's $9,000 waiting for something to go wrong. And that money is sitting in a savings account making 1/10 of 1%. 1/10 of 1%. Do you have several $1,000s in the bank right now? And because of that, you're getting that statement every month, and they're sending you, 2 or 3 pennies in interest on your money. Folks, does anybody know what I'm talking about here? They've got all that money in the bank, and they even stop looking at how much interest that money is making. They don't even look at it anymore because it's so tiny.
That would be me.
Okay, you're not even looking at it anymore, Dawn, are you?
No, I don't even look at it. I'm okay with some lazy money. Every money don't have to go to work.
Okay. All right. She's okay with some lazy money. All right. So, folks, here's what we're talking about. If you have that money sitting around waiting for something to go wrong, all right, and sometimes it does. And Carla Carla Dean that's watching us online. Okay, she's watching us from YouTube, and she said, "That's me," and she has a big old sigh. All right, folks, here's what we're talking about. I don't want to get rid of sinking funds altogether. I just want to turn them into thinking funds, because right now they're not. If you have all that money sitting in an account making 1/10 of 1%, is that money thinking correctly right now? Is that money thinking? Anybody? That money sitting in a bank account making 1/10 of 1%.
Let me say this.
Yes.
I think mine is thinking funds because I have thought out the reason why it's sitting there and how much I want to leave there. So I do think there is a number for most people that they should have liquid. I think putting all of your money in one spot could be dangerous, but I know you're going to teach that part. So let's go.
Okay. So listen, I like liquidity. All right. So let me tell you what P.I.L.L stands for: prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. The sinking funds has to do with the liquidity part. Okay. And Dawn, you want to have money available to you for whatever reason. You want to make sure that cash is there, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So Miss Deanna, listen, can I use your example? Because you have about 12 cards. Okay. How many of them are bank cards? I mean, money that we can actually access and use. I'm not talking about the store cards. How many are bank cards? About. Doesn't have to be exactly right.
Dawn, you want to use me? Because I still have credit cards. You want to use me instead?
You have a bunch of credit cards?
Yeah, I still have credit cards.
No, Dawn, I didn't think. Oh, come on, girl. How many bank cards do you have?
Oh, at least 8.
8. Okay. Let's say I have 8 credit cards and I have balances on all 8. Dawn, I don't want to send you into a heart attack, okay?
I was getting ready to say, can you say a balance on 2? 8?
No, we would need a balance on all 8.
Okay, I'll go with you.
Okay, so we got a balance on 8 credit cards right now. And folks, here's what I want to tell you. All right. So if I have a balance on 8 credit cards, I need you to start looking at your credit cards as savings accounts. Picture your credit card as a savings account. Remember, now let me put it to you this way. I have $10,000 in the bank. All right. Follow me here, folks. I have $10,000 in the bank, Dawn. All right. And I have $5,000 balance on my credit card. You with me so far, Dawn?
Of course.
Okay. So now I could take $5,000 out of my bank account, couldn't I? And pay off that credit card, couldn't I?
Yes.
How much money do I have available to spend now?
If you only had 5,000, you have 0.
No, I have $10,000 in the bank.
You got 5.
Mm-hmm.
I know where you're going.
Okay.
You walk me right in this water every time.
All right.
I go gracefully. Yeah, that's a good example. Keep going.
All right. So I've got $10,000 in the bank. Okay, $10,000 in the bank. and I have $5,000 balance on the credit card. Could I take $5,000 out of the bank and pay off the credit card to zero?
Yes.
How much money do I have available to spend right now?
0.
No, can't be zero.
Am I not following you? You said you had $10,000
In the bank.
and then you took 10,000
Nope.
to pay off.
Nope. I took 5,000 out to pay off the
then you have
5.
five. I'm sorry.
I have 5,000 to pay off the credit card.
Yes.
How much do I have available to spend?
5.
Nope. It is 10.
Why?
Because
Depends on what.
With the credit card?
yes, because I can spend the money on the credit card. It is almost as liquid.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not paying attention because I thought we were still on the bank.
No. Wait, listen, that's the way most people think. When I take the cash out of the bank and put it on the credit card, all they're looking at is I only have $5,000 to spend, when the credit card should be considered liquidity as well. A revolving line is liquid.
It is until they shut it down.
Well, listen, Dawn, that happened once in my lifetime.
Right. You tell me that every time.
It happened once in my lifetime.
Right. You're right. It did.
Okay.
It did. You're right.
And so when we're talking about finances here, we want to talk about how we can maximize our funds as long as we have them. So if I have $5,000 available to me in the bank and I have $5,000 on my card, and if I look at the liquidity, I have $10,000 available to me, don't I?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's take a look at this, folks. Now, when you are when you're paying off your credit cards, do not put more than the minimums on more than one card at a time. Focus on one, and zero. You want to focus in on paying down that one card. Okay. Instead of spreading your money so far and wide, you leave yourself no cash for living in that month because you leave yourself cash poor while you're paying off the card. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes. Now I agree with that. I do think you need to have some cash for yourself. Yes.
Okay. So now what we're looking at, folks, is if we have 8 to 10 cards. Okay. And so how do we take care of that? So we want to zero in on putting that cash on that card. Think of your credit cards as a savings account. Now here's what I need you to think about. Okay. When I pay down on my credit card, I'm giving myself a raise each and every month because that's interest I don't have to pay on the card. But the interest cost that I'm saving is probably less, because when I figure out the interest cost, it's less than the mortgage, is less than my second mortgage, is the interest cost may be even less than on my car. Okay, so I'm not looking at go ahead.
Can you slow down and say that again so people can understand?
Okay.
So in your example, you showed, my interest was this on the mortgage, and give an example like your credit card was $200 and you're paying $500 on the mortgage, and that's why you're saying. So can you repeat that just so everybody can pick that up in the room?
All right, listen, we're going to go to the screen, Dawn. We're going to go to the screen. So I have a $10,000 balance on a card at 24%. My interest cost, my first interest only payment in interest is $200. Now, my very first payment on my mortgage at 3%, my interest cost is $500. My interest cost on the same mortgage at 6% is $1,000. We are so focused on the interest on the credit cards, we totally disregard the interest on the car loans, the interest on the mortgages, because we look at the interest rate, but we're not looking at the interest cost. Folks, if you want to do this right, you've got to do the math. If you're new to the room, click on my button at the top of the page. You will see watch us online, and you can see where you can see us online. Okay. So go ahead and watch us online. Folks, do you understand? Does anybody understand what I'm talking about? We have 48 people in here. All right. These credit card companies are not loyal. You got that right, Miss Roberts. Okay. So here's what we're talking about. Miss Roberts says she got it right. She said we had 10K available to spend. All right. So folks, we just need to make sure we have some money to spend. And what is it going to cost us? What is it going to cost us to make a financial decision? All right. Are you guys following me now? All right. Now, if I have $10,000 in the bank, and I have, what does it cost me to keep that money in the bank, Miss Dawn? Does the cash cost me money?
It could.
What do you mean?
Because I know you're getting ready to go to opportunity cost. I know where you go.
Listen, folks. I want you to see. Do you know how many people I run into on a daily basis, every single week? They have thousands of dollars in the bank, and they're carrying balances on their credit cards because somehow they're thinking, I don't want to take that cash to pay off the card because I'm depleting my cash.
Now, that's what most people do.
Yes.
You know what? And most people have very little savings, and we know that, and they have credit card debt. So now they're really in a pickle. So,
So Dawn, here's what I'm saying is that you help out people who may have spending problems. But the thing is, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people out there that carry balances on their card. They're doing well financially, and they have thousands of dollars in the bank. They're just like you.
I was getting ready to say, I think we might be related.
Listen, they're just like you. Do you know how many people I meet that are like you? They have thousands of dollars in the bank, and they have balances on their credit card because somehow the money in the bank is more valuable there in the bank than paying off the card. So here's what we're talking about.
Wait, they not just like me, because they holding on to their credit card debt. Well, I hold on to the debt, but not from a credit card perspective.
I got you.
So I was like, wait, they might not be just like me.
Not okay. All right. All right. So here's what I'm saying, folks. If you are keeping money in the bank instead of paying down the credit cards, okay? If this $10,000 credit card is yours, and they're going to charge you $200 interest that month, it's costing you $200 to keep that money in the bank because you're not do you know how long it's going to take you to make $200? Even with $20,000 in the bank, $30,000, even with $50,000 in the bank, do you realize how long it's going to take you to make $200? Oh my goodness, that takes a long time. So if you've got that money in the bank, it's costing you money if you're keeping balances on your card. That's why I said, let's take a look at the cards and use them and think of them as a savings account. Take that cash and let's pay down the credit cards. You still have cash available to you. All right. So then folks say, well, Don, what if I have to use my money? What if I have to use something? Okay. I don't have the cash to pay for it anymore. Now I've got to borrow it. All right. I need you guys to take a look at this concept. All right. If you have 8 credit cards like Dawn, if you got 12 credit cards like Deanna, and I don't know how many credit cards I have. I don't know. I've got about 20. Okay. But so I have that money available to me. All right. To use. So they said, well, Don, if you use that money, you've got to pay interest on it. All right. But if I have to pay interest on it, then I have to take a look at interest paid over here on my credit cards or interest paid on a debt not with a lower interest rate, but it has a higher interest cost. My mortgage has a higher interest cost, but even though it may have a lower rate, I've got a 3% rate over here on a mortgage. I got a 6% on rate on a mortgage, and I have a 24% rate on a credit card. They're not the same. They're not the same. I have to do the math. Don't make a decision based on the rate. Make a decision based on the cost. All right. Does that make sense, everybody? All right. So we got Miss Rashida on the stage. Miss Rashida, what's your contribution to the conversation?
I am listening. I'm on both sides because I've looked at the amortization schedule, and I'm all with you. Like, I go to my mortgage company, and they have the calculator, and I look like how much I can pay down my mortgage very quickly. If I just make, a couple $100 a month, you can knock down several years. So I'm with you. I'm all with you because that's what I tell people as well. I'm all for using credit cards, and seeking funds because I will save up for vacations, medical. Like, your FSA account is a sinking account, but it's also helps you out as a tax deduction. So I use it all. But the thing is that you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. You got to have a reason. Like, you just had a scenario, like, for instance, and here's my thing. Like, I paid off all my credit card debt this summer, and and um, I took advice from my coach. They were like, yeah, just pay it down. So I took from my cash to pay down a little quicker than what I did. So it was like a $17,000. I had consolidated some stuff, and then so on that entire $17,000, I paid about $100 in interest. But then the next month, now my cash flow is low, like, not on the credit cards, but my actual cash flow is low. My AC went out right before I needed to take a trip for a funeral. So they were like, literally the day before I'm supposed to leave, my AC goes out. So, and that company does not take credit cards, like, they take cash. But I didn't have the cash to pay. Now, I did have to use my credit card, but it cost me extra fees for it. And now, like, I have that on a credit card, so I only have one credit card balance because of that trip and and the um the funeral trip and the AC. And so now I'm paying more for this $6,000 um than I did on the $17,000. But my goal, like, right now, is I am building back my emergency fund because I'm sorry, I can't do it. Like, I do need some cash liquid. And so I'm almost at my I call it my mini emergency fund. So that I'm not playing with it. Like, there's gonna be some money because some things you have to do in cash. And, like, that's it. I don't like paying the cost of what it's costing me for this $6,000. I don't like. So I look at how much it's costing me, like you just said, on the interest. And then I just took a $10,000 loan. Not because I need it, but I'm trying to get into real estate investing. But it's costing, like, the interest rate is 17,000. So I'm like, but if you have something to flip it with, then that 17,000 won't really matter. So but my thing is, so yeah, so I'm working out on that. So, like, that is a true story. That scenario you were just talking about. I had 10,000 in the bank, but I moved that out of a account that was making nothing. So I'm moving it into an account that making a little bit more, way more, about 1 to 2% um than your regular savings account. So that way, while I'm waiting to get into this looking for a property, I need to talk to Don. Looking for a property that I want to cash flow each month because I'm looking for a rental property. um So yeah, but the 17% won't really matter depending on, what I get into. Like, so there's
Okay.
always strategic moves that you got to make. And I think that's the biggest thing here is that you got to look at your whole financial situation. What are your goals? And use, your mortgage and things like that to cut down on the interest that you're spending, because it is like you're paying for as a mortgage, you're going to pay for like at least half of another house or a whole nother house if you don't cut down on the amortization schedule
Okay.
by making a few extra $100, by paying a few extra $100.
All right. Thank you so much. So here's what I'm talking about, folks. In all of this, what we're talking about is know what your interest consumption is each month. If you know what your interest consumption is, if you've got to stop and do the math or get someone to do the math so that where you're putting your money, you're getting the biggest bang for your buck. All right. So if I am avoiding paying interest on my credit cards, but I'm not avoiding paying 5 times the interest or 10 times the interest on my mortgage, folks, what good is that? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Okay. So let me give you another example of sinking funds. So if I've got 8 sinking funds, could I have 8 credit cards to take the place of those 8 sinking funds? Dawn, I need you to help me out on this.
Yeah, you could.
Okay. So I know how much I need to have available for my sinking funds. All right.
Yeah.
And I have 8 credit cards that I could use for those sinking funds. I got a credit card for my car. I got a credit card for this. I got a credit card for that. Now, according to you, I still need to have some cash in the bank so I can pay off those credit cards anytime I want. Okay.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. $10,000 in the bank will cover several $1,000s of potential I would have to spend on a credit card. So what you have to come up with for you and your family, what do you believe? And you have to take a look at the past history. How much cash do you have to have on hand to cover an emergency at any one time? Because here's how sinking funds work, folks. If there's one lady here that I told you about has 18 sinking funds, you know what that means? Every month, she puts money in all 18 every single month without fail. It never stops. Are you hearing me? She's putting money in all 18 every single month and it never stops. What if we take a look at, if I asked her, what is the most in your life, what is the most you've ever spent in 1 month to make sure that you're going to feel okay? How much do you want to have in 1 month over everything? I would find that number. What if it's 10,000 or 20,000? Okay, I can have $20,000 in the bank. All right, but do you know I can have 80,000 available on credit cards to cover my sinking funds. Okay, so I have, because not everything is going to break at the same time. Okay, anybody have the air conditioning, the washing machine, the car, and the roof all go out at the same time? Anybody? But if I keep that cash, I keep cash on hand to cover all those contingencies. Is that a wise financial move to keep cash to cover all of those things, and they're not going to go out at the same time? Somebody talk to me.
So this is Dawn again. So I definitely agree to some extent, as I always do. I'm not always on the complete opposite of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that you're right when you talk about, what is that magic number for you?
Yep.
And then looking at, hey, most people are not looking at the numbers, Dawn. And I think that's what creates, they're just kind of doing this rhetoric that they hear cash is, whether cash is king or, you need to have leverage. And they're just using the rhetoric when they're not really looking at the numbers for themselves. And so I think what you're bringing up is a valid point. Like, what is the number if everything If all things go from sugar to shucks, what is the number you need? And then what are your balances? Because my credit card available limits are clearly over 100,000, but I still like cash.
Well,
And
yes. Listen, let me tell you, folks, credit is for people who have resources. It is not for people who don't have resources. Okay. So here's what I'm taking a look at, and I'm going to put our program up on the screen here in a little bit, how I propose that we do this so that we have a minimum amount of cash available, but most of our sinking funds are going to be taken care of with credit cards, because people, they say, I do not want to put it on the credit card because I have to pay interest on the card.
yeah,
But
this is where the magic is going to happen, Don. This is where it all comes together, right? We've had this cute debate. It's a real debate, but they'll get to see why and how you're explaining it and why they should at least consider the way that you're going to explain it. So can't wait to see the magic.
All right. So what we're talking about, folks, if I have to put something on my credit card, how much is it going to cost me to put it on my credit card versus how much is the cash going to cost me just by keeping it in the bank? The most expensive money you have, if you have debt, is the money sitting in your bank account. There is no one on the stage that can disagree with that. If you have debt, the most expensive money you have is the money sitting in your bank accounts. Because when you take a look at the amount of money you're making with that money, as opposed to the amount of money that you're paying on the debt on your student loans, on your mortgage, on your car loan, the money that you're making in the bank in interest does not even begin to compete with the money you're paying on your student loans, on your car loans, and on your mortgage. I don't care what kind of financial position you're in. Does this make sense to everybody?
Oh, yeah. I'm following you.
Okay. So now what we're looking at is, now, what if I keep a certain amount of cash available? So if I do have to put some money as an emergency, I'm not trying to keep $30,000 or $40,000 available in 18 sinking funds, because this one young lady has $9,000 in just one of her sinking funds. 9,000. So she has 18 of them. So let's just say the other 17 have at least $9,000 total in them. Okay, let's say there's about $18,000 to $20,000 available. So could I just have like $10,000 in the bank, and then the rest I could put on the credit cards? Could I just do that? So listen, we have some more folks coming in. We have TM in the building. Let's see if we can get him to come up to the stage. All right, invite to speak. We have Dean in the building. Let's bring him up, a real estate investor. Let's bring them up. Let's see if we can get them to come up to the stage. So folks, I see somebody raise their hand, and I tried to invite them up to the stage. So folks, if you're raising your hand, I've got some moderators. They're viewing the stage, and we'll see if we can get you to come up to to talk to us. Good morning, Dean. How are you doing?
Don, good morning. Doing good. Just jumping in here, just listening in. Hope everything's going good with you.
Everything is going great, man. We're looking at sinking funds, not being thinking funds. And we're just looking at the cost. I'm trying to make it very clear that if you have cash in the bank and you have debt, your cash is costing you money when you take a look at the opportunity costs. Keeping cash in the bank and not using it to pay down the debt is a huge mistake because of the loss of that cash when you're paying that interest. Okay. So interest made and interest paid. So I talk to a lot of people and say, I pay off my credit cards every single month, and they're proud of the fact. Okay. But if they have, I need you, if you're looking at the screen here, I'm going to go back to the screen. Here is one of the mortgages that that one of my clients has. All right. that's paying off their credit cards every single month. $450,000. They got this a while ago. It's at 4%. Okay. All right. They pay off their every single month for 12 months. They pay off their credit cards every single month. Okay. Where they, in 1 year, they pay down this mortgage, $450,000 at 4% interest. They pay down their principal by $7,924.68. But they paid $17,855.76 in interest on that mortgage. And that didn't even faze them. Do you know why? The reason why is they were unaware of their interest consumption. They didn't know how much interest they were paying on the credit cards or what the potential interest was on the card. They didn't know what the interest cost is on their car loans. They didn't know what the interest cost is on their mortgage. They know what the interest rates are, but they don't know what their interest costs are. And if you don't know what your interest costs are on your loans, folks, your cash in the bank is too expensive to keep it there. All right. So does anybody have anything to say about that? All right. So here's what we're looking at. What can we do? What can we do to make sure that we are keeping everything going in the right direction? Folks, we've been an hour and 7 minutes in this room. We've got 14 shares. Can I get a few more shares in here? And Dean, while we're getting a few more shares and I'm checking out the comments, could you please tell us who you are and what you do, sir?
Yep. Good morning, everybody. Dean Shoup. I'm a single family and multifamily investor. I'm based out of Idaho, but currently own property across the country, and just always here for a good conversation. I know, we've met in person and had a few conversations about what you do. And, that's where, being able to pay off a loan in 7 years and, the interest that we pay is tremendous. And, I really have been telling a lot of people about what you've got going on because, I want to be able to figure out that piece of the game because, I know what I've been able to do thus far, but if I'm able to, pay off my mortgage within 7 or 10 years, even, it would be able to help me scale my business even faster. So that's what I'm in here for, Don.
All right. Well, Dean, listen, thank you very much for coming, because as a real estate investor, you know that your equity costs you money. Okay. Equity costs money. All right. So listen, folks, I'm going to put also in here just to give you an idea of what we're talking about for Dean's sake. All right. Let's see. I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm going to put $1 million loan in here at 5%. Okay. And we're going to put it in for 300 months because it's a commercial loan. There you go. All right. Okay. $1 million, $1 million. Okay. So here's in 1 year, Dean, just in 1 year. Okay. In 1 year, we're going to get $20,619 in equity. And if you guys want to see this example, go to my 10K card up above. You'll see the link that says watch us live. You want to watch us live? We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can watch us live there. So to get $20,000 in equity, Dean, it would cost $49,531 in interest to do that. Now, here is a property that's cash flowing big time, right? It's making money. Okay. Now, just as an example, the real estate investors that I talk to keep cash on the sideline for repairs and maintenance. They call it R&M, repairs and maintenance. So could we, and just as an example, if this $20,000 in equity cost me $49,000 in interest, could I take, if I have like $100,000 in my R&M fund, Dean, could I take $20,000 out of the R&M fund? advance it to this mortgage, knock off a year's worth of payments, and kill almost 50 grand in interest doing it that I don't have to pay. Plus, I just knocked off 12 monthly mortgage payments I never have to make.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. So now we know how much is going into, how much you've designated to go into your R&M fund. You know how long it's going to take you to pay back a certain amount of money that you borrowed from there. So that cash sitting in the R&M fund, $20,000 worth of it, I guarantee you is not going to make $49,000 in 12 months. So this is what we're talking about for real estate investors. This is what we're talking about for the average homeowner who has 13 different debts, but they're being told to keep an inordinate amounts of cash sitting in the bank that could be used to save a ton of interest if applied to the loans correctly. That's what we're talking about today, folks, just to give you some insight into it. I saw another hand raised. All right. So let's see. We have on the stage now, Miss Candace. How are you doing? So Candace, are you there?
Hi, guys.
Hey there.
I'm just glad to be here and glad to be in this room and listening to this wealth of knowledge. So I'm about to walk into church, so I'm going to go ahead and mute, but thank you for having me. All
right. Well, listen, folks, if you need money, Candace is your girl because she finds you the money. Candace, you give people the money, right?
I do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sure will.
Thank you so very much, Miss Candace. So somebody go ahead and click on her and read her bio. If you're a real estate investor, if you are an investor and you need the cash, she's one resource that can get you the money. All right. So we have somebody else that comes to the dignity dealer. All right. Say Javante Mack. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going? How you doing?
Excellent. Do you have a question or comment for us this morning, sir?
Yeah, I just have a comment on the topic about what's the topic? Paying off all debt sinking funds or not thinking funds.
That is correct.
So I pretty much agree with I forgot who was the person who said use credit to take care of their everyday life and just pay some back at the end of the month. But it's other perks that go with that, but I was just agreeing with that.
All right, folks. Listen, we've got a whole bunch of things going on here. So we're going to take a little break here. I need to get a drink of water. And what we're going to be doing is bringing up some technology that helps us to manage all of this. I got 24 people online. I have 81 people in the room right now. Please continue to share. And then we're going to hear from someone who's taken advantage of the technology, who's taken advantage of this type of thinking where we understand our money even better. All right. His name is E.T., the hip hop preacher. Dr. Eric Thomas used this program to pay off his mortgage. Let's hear from Dr. Eric Thomas and what he has to say about the P.I.L.L method. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L Method International, and our team created the most powerful money management, wealth building, debt elimination system ever created. At our recent seminar in Nashville, Tennessee, the keynote speech was delivered by the #1 motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. E.T., as he's also known, mentioned he paid off his mortgage in 4 years using the P.I.L Method. I invite you to watch and listen.
Listen to me, y'all. Well, one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that? No mortgage, no stress. If you would like to become debt and mortgage free within an average of 7 to 9 years by cutting your interest costs by up to 75%, go to PILLmethod.com and request a savings and earnings report today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know more about how this all works, listen, if you want to get the biggest bang out of your buck, if you want to understand finances from this point of view today, go to my 10K card up above, ice10k.com. That's ICE, the number 10 and the letter K.com, and click and then find the button that says Get a Savings and Earnings Report. Follow the instructions. It will lead you into a financial form. Put all your information in there, all your debts. The average family has 13 different debts, folks. If we can pay these things off in an average of 7 to 9 years, we can then take that money that we would have been paying on the debt and invest it in our families, especially cutting out 75% of that interest. Oh my goodness. So take that money and turn it into $1 million for your family, like Dawn Robinson. I'm talking about W-2 families becoming millionaires from the interest they did not pay the bank, but invested that money instead in themselves. So if you want to know the month, day, and year you're going to be debt free and the amount of interest you can save, go to ice10k.com, click on the button that says Get a Savings and Earnings Report, and then you can know the month, day, and year you're going to be debt free with usually within a 7 to 9 year window, and how much interest you are going to save. All right, I can't wait to talk to you. So,
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hi, Don. I have a question in the chat here from Elizabeth.
Go ahead.
She said, I have mortgage balance of $135,000 and I have cash in bank of about $100,000. No car debt, no credit debt as I pay off as I charge. Am I in the right part? I want to get HELOC loan to purchase another property, but no bank around here are doing HELOC.
What? No banks are doing HELOCs in your area? Can we get her to come to the stage? What's her name?
Elizabeth. I was going to invite her up to the stage.
Right. Is she in Canada?
No, she's not, Don.
Well, listen, I'm just saying. Elizabeth, listen, you need to contact us because here's one thing, folks. I need y'all to understand. All right. When it comes to a certain amount of money, she has practically enough money in the bank to pay the mortgage off tomorrow. Don't do it. Don't listen. Don't get confused here. Okay. We can show you how to save interest with your current budget. Take the money you have in the bank and invest it. Okay. So there's
She's now on stage.
Okay. Miss Elizabeth, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Tell me about your situation.
I put it over there because I have a house with a balance of 140. I went to Wells Fargo. I went to Bank of America. I went to Pateco. They're not giving HELOC. And I have 100K sitting in my bank doing absolutely nothing. And I can't purchase anything in here in California, Sacramento, with 100. So I was looking for HELOC. Then I can buy a home. But now I am stuck.
Okay, I got some questions to ask you. Is it that they're not offering HELOCs or they're just not giving you one?
No, they are not offering at the present time.
Okay, all right. So here's what you can do. Are you a member of a credit union?
Yes, I am.
Did you talk to your credit union?
I called them and they wanted to see my income. That's another kick. I am retired, making Social Security, and I don't like to show my other income. Am I doing the wrong thing or?
Oh, man.
So I always tell people I'm on a Social Security, but I have another stream of income which I don't show.
Ma'am, listen. Do you know I run into this all the time? May I ask where you're from originally?
Originally, I'm from Kenya. We have talked.
Okay, we've talked. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, folks. That's the thing. If you want, because people have different streams of income. All right.
Yes.
And so here's where you need to be. And this is as kind as I can put it. It sounds like you want your cake and eat it too.
Okay.
Okay. You want to borrow money, but you don't want to show where the income is going to come from to pay it back.
In a way, it's not true. It's because I don't know what to show and what's going to affect me in the wrong way.
I understand.
If I know how.
Okay.
I can do it.
I got you. So you just need a little bit of education on how to structure the whole thing.
And that's why I came to you.
All right. So listen, I don't remember where this ended up, but now that we know more about this, you need to reach back out, and I can put you with a couple of people that we can help you to put yourself in a position where you'll be able to borrow that money.
That would be wonderful.
Okay, so here's what I'm also saying, folks. If you have that cash available, now she doesn't have a lot of consumer debt, which is not the same as that mortgage debt. I would never, ever drain my bank account, Miss Dawn, to pay off the mortgage debt. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench in here.
Come on with it.
Sometimes a better decision, especially in your senior years, is nothing. Sometimes it's better to just hold on, especially with the market and things are where they are now. Sometimes it's okay to have lazy money and then use that cash because it's going to be, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire in a little bit, and wait for those moments. It's okay to sit on cash for a little bit, especially when she passed her earning year. It's okay.
Listen, Dawn, I'm in total agreement. I love to sit on my cash, but I want to make sure that I'm putting it. So let's say I have a risk, my risk tolerance is really low. Okay, my risk tolerance is way low. All right. So can I put that money somewhere where I can still access it? Okay. But it's still making more money than just sitting in a regular bank account. It's still liquid to me. You see what I'm saying? Make it work. Okay. Now here's another strategy that you just sent to me, Dawn, and I'm listening to this thing. All right. So here is another strategy. All right, folks, it's called permanent life insurance. Permanent life insurance, and thinking about it as a banking opportunity using permanent life insurance. Go ahead.
I said I bond. I'm an I bond. I don't do not permanent life insurance. That wasn't me though. I'm just making sure we're clear. Nope, that wasn't me. I'm iBond because iBond is paying at 9.62 right now, and if you do the play right, you can do $20,000 to $40,000, even though the limits are 10.
I didn't say you recommended it, Dawn. I said you sent it to me.
Oh, did I?
Yes. You sent me a video.
Oh yeah, because they were doing that play, and I was like, okay, you're right. As long as I didn't recommend.
No, you didn't recommend it.
Okay.
Because Dawn, you know what we're talking about. We're talking about putting that money away, and you're talking about, and you showed me that iBond, and it's making that kind of money, and it's still you can access it. How long does it take you to get your money out of that?
You have to hold the iBond at least a year.
Okay, so you're not going to put all your money in.
No, you can. It's not even possible.
Okay, so here's what we're talking about, folks. All I am saying is whatever you're doing with your money, whatever your risk tolerance is, whatever you're trying to accomplish as far as keeping liquidity, don't think of just cash in the bank as liquid. Liquidity does not mean money in your pocket, just money in your pocket. Liquidity doesn't just mean money in the bank. Liquidity means can I access my cash no matter where we're keeping it? Okay, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so Miss Elizabeth, does get with us as soon as possible so we can pour into you and help you with your situation. Okay,
that would be wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so Dawn, listen, with you here, listen, folks, we are 27 shares in. We got 27 shares. We got 73 people still in here. I need you all to focus on where some of this information is coming from. I got a message earlier today that somebody actually bought my book and read it. Okay, and they are reading it. A lot of the information we're talking in here is in this book. I want to make sure that you understand where we're coming from here. We're talking about certain ways of thinking about money, understanding interest cost versus interest rate, understanding that you from a opportunity cost point of view, we need to take a look at our money differently. Practically every strategy that we know of today is promoted from the banking point of view, and it benefits the bank. I don't care what you're doing. The reason why we're in the financial situation we are in is not because most of us have been irresponsible. The reason why we're in the situation we're in now is because we're following best practices put forth from the banking industry. Can I give you just one or two examples? If you are getting advice from your bank to save you money, for instance, putting a large down payment down on your loan, for instance, buying down the rate, for instance, doing a cash out refi and rolling all of your high interest costs into your loan. All of those things make huge profits for the bank, because keep this in mind. If a bank offers you a strategy to save money, if you're saving money, who would have to be losing money? Again, if your bank is offering you a strategy to save money, doesn't that mean they would be losing money? Why would they offer it then? Contact the P.I.L.L method, and we'll show you a different way of looking at your money so that your family can get a bigger bang for their buck. Stop thinking about finances in the old way. So, Miss Elizabeth, here is a strategy for some of you that can use permanent life insurance. Okay. So here's what I'm talking about. Let's say you have, she has $100,000 in the bank right now. If she were to qualify for permanent life insurance, you can structure that so that the life insurance part is minimal, but the cash value part is maximized. You can jumpstart your permanent life insurance with, let's say, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And the next day, if you put in 70,000, the next day you can pull out 60,000. And the insurance company will pay you dividends and interest on the entire $70,000. And that money, for our clients at the P.I.L.L method who are using this strategy, they made 12% on their money last year. Some of them made 18. Okay. So here's what we're talking about. 18% on your money, 12% on your money, right? And it's tax-free. Tax-free. I am not an insurance agent. I'm going to put that out there right now. I am not an insurance agent. I hire insurance agents, and that's what my insurance agents tell me. You see, you can own an insurance agency without being an insurance agent. I hire insurance agents. They do all this work for me, and they're instructing me as to what can happen with these clients when they have this extra money. You can jumpstart this, make money tax-free, and then guess what? When you need to borrow that money, you can borrow it out, and then when you pay it back, you can pay it back with interest to yourself. So there are several different ways, folks, to stay liquid and make money at the same time. There are several different ways to get this thing done, folks. So listen, I'm going to bring I don't have anybody new on the stage. All right. So any comments from our moderators before I move on to the next point? Okay. Because we're at the top of the hour. We're at 10 o'clock, and we're going to be done at we started at 8:30. We go to 9:30. We go to 10:30. That's 2 hours. It's the fastest 2 hours on Clubhouse, folks. If you're on watching us online, okay, The folks that you hear talking are from Clubhouse. So follow us on Clubhouse as well. All right. So Serena Holmes says fire. Jamie Reeves says yes, makes sense. So whatever your money is doing, folks, make sure your money is doing something that makes sense for you. All right. And so as I'm setting up this next example, how many have heard of 0% interest loans or 0% interest credit cards? Okay. And how many know how that works? Okay. How the interest, for 12 or 18 months. How many like to use those? All right. Any comments about that? All right. Is this infinite banking using life insurance? Yes, Scott, it is. It is. We're talking about infinite banking. All right. So Liza is here this morning. She said, yes, Don, we are taking this info to the streets. Listen, folks, Miss Liza and others who are real estate agents, insurance agents that are listening to me today. We've got real estate agents. We've got loan officers in here that want to know more about how the P.I.L.L method works. Very soon, we're going to hold a master class for all of you, all right, that want to know more and how you can help your clients. More is coming about the masterclass in the coming days. I just want you to know, if you want to know more about the masterclass, if you want to be put on the waiting list for the masterclass, the wait list, I need you to hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on Instagram, okay, and let me know that you want to be put on the wait list for our masterclass. There's going to be a charge for it. It's not going to be free. But I'm telling you, the information you're going to get is going to be well worth the price of admission. Oh my gosh, you're going to be able to make so much money with this information. So we're going to totally blow up all of the myths associated with banking today when we get into this masterclass. So if you want to be on the wait list for the masterclass, hit me up on Instagram and put down masterclass, and your email and a phone number. Okay, put down masterclass and put down an email address and a phone number, and hit up my my Instagram, and then we'll be able to, whoever I put in charge of that will be reaching out to you, and so you can get more information on that in the coming days. All right, folks. So remember, get the book, and be sure to get your savings and earnings report. So in the last few minutes here, let me pull up. I'm going to be pulling up my program. We're not going to put it on the screen just yet. Wait till I get it all the way up. And let me see. So let me see who's still in here. Miss Donna, could you? Are there any other questions in the chat? We got 84 submissions in there.
I scanned. Let's see.
Okay.
I didn't see any questions.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Miss Donna. Thank you, Miss Dawn. Credit Goddess, thank you very much for all of your help. She's on the phone right now. Kirk the Bank Barnes. Kirk, you've been awfully quiet, man. Are you still in the house? Is Kirk still in the house? Or does he have us on mute while he's doing other stuff?
I'm here.
All right. So you getting anything out of this, man?
Absolutely. I never had one of those funds though, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
And upon listening to you, I share a personal story. Well, this is not the reason I did it for you, so I don't want to put your information into what I did.
Okay, go right ahead.
I understood the concept. I'm breaking up a little bit, right?
No, not at all.
Oh no, I understood.
As soon as you said that, you started breaking up. Man.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I understood the concept of putting money to pay a credit card down. So what I did the other day, I took about 15 My credit score was a little bit low in like the 680s and moving because I knew that I had high utilization. So I took about 50 grand and I paid down some credit card bills. And once I did that, my credit score shot to about 786, 736. And Experience still giving me a hard time. They still got me at 685, but eventually, once they get that I paid some stuff down, they'll bring my credit score back up. So, and I know that now I have the money there, right? It's still just sitting there. I could always go back and use it. So what I did now, once my credit score rose, I went and I got more credit. So one Sunday I was sitting here and I think I just got like 37,000 in credit. I think I got 25 from Home Depot, 12.5 from Lowe's, and then I went ahead and I got a Chase, who denied me a couple months ago, right? When my credit score was a little low. Chase Inc. offered me a card. And I said, you guys want to offer me? I'll try again. And they gave me 12.5 on the business side. So it helped me to pay the 50 grand to get more back in return and still knowing that the money is sitting there whenever I need to use it. So I totally understand that concept.
Awesome. Awesome. So taking the cash out, putting it over here does not mean you don't have liquidity. It's just in a different form, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. We have Roxy that just came to the stage. Roxy, how are you this morning? And what do you have for us?
I'm fine. Thanks for having this class. It's just one thing I wanted to ask you. Can you please run that play again when you just talked about the insurance? I just purchased 3 of your products, your books from Amazon. I wasn't sure was that in there, but can you just run that by me one more time? Because I'm actually looking into getting insurance.
Not a problem. Okay. So what we use is an IUL for most of our clients. It stands for Index Universal Life. And then there are what's called whole life as well. Okay. And so what you can do is when you have a permanent life insurance policy, part of the money that you pay premium every month goes towards paying for the insurance part. Some of the money goes towards the investment part, okay? Building cash value in the life insurance policy. Some people have cash already saved up. Instead of building the cash up slowly, you can jumpstart that policy by putting in, let's say, I was listening to a group of guys talking about it the other day. They said, we put in $100,000, okay, to jumpstart it. All right. I now have $100,000 in cash value in this thing, and they took out $90,000 immediately. Now, when you have cash value built up in this, you can borrow back the money, but you're not borrowing your money. You're borrowing the life insurance company's money. Your money continues to work and make interest and dividends. Our clients last year made between 12 and 18% on their money in their life insurance policies. Okay. So now as that money is growing, it grows tax-free. And we have one of our clients, okay, when they retire, we'll be able to take out about $85,000 a year out of their insurance policy, and live on that for up to age 100. So, folks, this is what we're talking about: how to use life insurance as a way of maintaining a different type of liquidity, money that's available to you, but it's working. Plus, you can make your life insurance policy take over a lot of banking functions that the bank is now there for. Banks aren't there they're not community organizers. They're not they're not there so that they can be what's another word? They're not there as entities that are about social justice. They're businesses.
Yeah, they're not philanthropic.
They're not philanthropic at all. They're there to provide, they're there to rent you money for as long as they can, for as much as you can. And there are different ways to go about banking, and using an infinite banking concept, using a permanent life insurance is just one way of getting that done. So you can borrow money, pay it back, and when you pay it back, you're paying interest to yourself and not to some other entity outside yourself. I'm telling you, there are several different ways to get this done. Now, I was getting ready to talk about 0% interest cards, and I want to say this about that. I had a client. I have a client in California, and they got a 0% interest card for 12 months. And they said, Don, I want to pay this card off before the 12 months is up. Has anybody ever heard of that? Okay, paying it off. And I said, well, why do you want to pay it off? He says, because if I don't pay it off in time, then they're going to charge me all the accrued interest. I said, okay. I asked, how much interest are you trying to avoid? He said 17%. Then I said, no. How much interest in dollars and cents are you trying not to pay them? He said, I don't know. Can you imagine? We all do that. We're trying to avoid that interest, but we have no idea how much it is. So I had him call the credit card company. So he called, and when he found out how much it was, he changed the payment on that card back to the minimum payment. I said, why did you do that? He says, well, I found out that all that it was going to come up to was $300. He was trying to pay off a card that was in excess of $5,000. He was trying to pay it off so that he could avoid $300 in interest by putting $5,000 on his $750,000 loan. Okay, let me put this in here so I can tell you the truth. $750,000. Okay, 750. I'm putting it on the screen right now. 750,000 at 4% interest. Okay, 30. If he put that on his mortgage, just $5,000. Okay, it was a little over $5,000. Would have saved him about $12,000 in interest on his mortgage. So he was trying to pay off a little over $5,000 to keep from paying $300 to the credit card company, when he could have taken that same money, put it on his mortgage, would have saved him over $12,000. Whoo, have mercy. That's what we're talking about, folks. When you're making a financial decision, make sure you're basing it not on feeling, not on interest rate, but on interest cost. And do the math, or at least have somebody like us do the math that will help you to see what the banking industry wants you not to see. It's called inattentional blindness. It's inattention. You know, what you're not paying attention to. Inattentional blindness has to do with being blind to what's right in front of you the whole time. What was right in front of him? That he could have found out that $300 was what he was trying to avoid. What was right in front of him? How much interest he could have saved on his mortgage with the same amount of money. But because we're not paying attention to it, we're blind to it, and we make financial mistakes all the time. This is why I'm saying that the sinking funds are not thinking funds. Folks, we have 15 minutes left in this hour. I've got Miss Lintoya on the stage. Miss Lintoya, what do you have for me today?
Hi everybody. Good morning. I just came in at the end of this, but I have an IUL, and it's so crazy because I'm 33 and I got it when I was 25 when my mom died, and I've been underfunding it. So I'm just now realizing that the power of it now. But luckily I've held it all this time. So I'm just now getting, I guess past the initial fee that they charge you at the beginning.
Right.
I think I have maybe they said $500 in cash value, but if I wanted to pull anything, I could probably only pull maybe like $200 at this point because I've underfunded it. So my question is, I guess, um, I, how much would you, because I know it rotates or flips every like 7 years. I guess I'm confused when I hear when I hear people say they made money during the pandemic because they put money in and it was triplers in it and different interest rates that went into it. How did that work, or how does that work? Because I'm trying to figure out how much more to put in it so that I could reap the benefits of what I've been paying into the last 7 years already.
Okay, Ms. Latoya. So the thing is, you can, because you, just like you can underfund an insurance policy, you can overfund it. Okay. So you could put more in than the premium every month, but you don't want to put too much in because then what you do is cause it to what they call MEC, MEC. It becomes a modified endowment contract, and then you lose all those tax benefits when you do that. So you have to talk to your insurance company and say, how much extra can I put in yearly? All right, to build up that cash value faster. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Okay. And listen, if you're young enough, you may want to get another one, and get it done that way, or talk to the insurance company. If you don't get good answers from them, contact us, and go to ice10k.com, and then contact us, and I'll put you with one of our insurance agents that can help you to get that part done. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Onaje is in the house. Onaje, how are you doing this morning, sir?
What's going on, brother? How's it going?
Listen, man, it's going great. It's going great. We have been talking about sinking funds as opposed not thinking funds. People who keep inordinate amounts of cash on hand to take care of emergencies when we could use credit to take care of that. So what we're looking at now, I'm getting ready to, in the last few minutes, we're looking at how to structure that so that we can have a small amount of cash that can help cover credit cards or lines of credit for emergency situations. But we want to keep our
I had this conversation with my mother-in-law last night.
so we can keep the costs low. Onaje, chime in on this, man.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had this conversation with my mother-in-law literally last night, like half 12 hours ago. So I'll say this. I mean, the wealth journey and how our relationship with cash, credit, and all that kind of stuff is not just financial, but it's emotional. There's trauma involved with a lot of the people around that. But yeah, I mean, I can jump right in. I mean, look, we want our cash to make other capital for us, right? We want to use cash to buy cash flowing assets, right? If you got a lot of cash, I heard somebody just talking about, the life insurance. Hey, that's a whole play. Do we know about annuities as well? That's a great way. A lot of flippers, when you hang around real estate, right? That's a great thing for flippers to do. Hey, go buy an annuity, right? We should be liking to buy cash flowing assets. Now, I need a rainy day fund. I need this, that, and the other. Credit can absolutely be that. Here's a easy move. It sounds easy. I think it's relatively easy, but it's a lot of people have fear around this, right? If you got some cash, right, go buy a rental property, and then you can go turn around and go get a line of credit against that rental property, right? That just feels icky for a lot of people, right? I literally was telling my mother-in-law she has a paid off house that she's living in, and she was mentioning, she's like, hey, I'm gonna just stay here until I'm not able to take care of this house on my own. And I'm like, well, you work out every day. She's obviously my mother-in-law, so she's older than me or whatever, but she's in great health. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, well, you won't be able to take care of the property. Well, I got lawn maintenance, and I got this, and I got that. And I'm like, okay, here's this thing called TaskRabbit. Here's how you go find some guys to go do the work. They be doing all this work at your age. Okay, what else you talking about? Well, we might have some repairs or whatever. I said, well, how are you doing the stuff right now? Well, I got this credit card, and I pay it down, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, You need a line of credit against this thing. Now, yes, I helped you pay this off, and we got this thing paid off, a couple of years ago. Great. But now go get a line of credit against it, not to use at all, right? But to just have that rainy day fund if you want to feel more comfortable, right? This is one of the things why a lot of people lose property, right? A lot of elderly people in the community lose property, or family end up selling off their houses because the houses are in disrepair and nobody's lived in it for years on years on years, and the roof is bad and the plumbing is bad and nobody wants to spend the money on it, this, that, and the other. And then you end up selling it to a wholesaler for pennies on the dollar because we don't have a healthy relationship with credit in general, lines of credit, credit cards, and knowing how to and when to spend it. We don't spend credit on cars, trips, clothes, nonsense, out to eat. No, right? Don't no. That's not. We want to use our credit, our lines of credit, to go buy cash flowing assets, right? Things that go make other money, right? And then we can use our cash on regular stuff or whatever. But it gets all more complicated as you go along. But I love the idea of lines of credit and credit cards. Yes, they can be reduced over time. And if you have a credit crunch like we did in 2008, they can draw some of those lines of credit down or whatever. But they're great safety instruments. And they're also pretty good about, I like to tell people, it's a way for you to almost realize some of your wealth in illiquid assets as well. Like real estate's actually quite illiquid, right? Meaning if you're actually needing the money, if you're actually in a pinch, real estate's a horrible place to go try to tap it if you need it in that moment, right? But it's a great place to go tap it early before you need it,
That's right.
right? And so you don't want to go try to get some money out of real estate. Oh crap, such Susie, whoever needs a surgery, blah blah, and she ain't no insurance or whatever. We gotta go. No, that's the bad time to go get it, right? Because that's where you get taken advantage of, or you're not gonna realize all the money you got. But if you get the money up front, right, when you don't need it, right? You go check out Los's room. He talks a lot about that. I talk a lot about that, right? Go get the money up front, right? And no, and the key is discipline, right? Well, I don't know about getting a credit card. I don't know about getting this. Okay, that's fine. All you're doing is just be honest with yourself and saying you like the discipline, right? And that's okay, right? Now let's just be honest. I lack the discipline to adequately use a HELOC against my home because everybody told me not to get a second mortgage. This isn't a second mortgage. You don't have to spend the money, right? Now the question is, do you have the discipline to not do it? Now, if you know you don't, then don't do it, right? But if you can be honest with yourself first to know that you might have a discipline problem, then that's maybe the first step to overcoming that discipline problem, right? But if you're really talking about protection, for me, but for this market is still in this, it's not all, I don't think it's all the way crashing yet. And that's why everybody I'm telling and talking to, well, I got this house paid off. You think I should get a HELOC? Yes. Everybody should be trying to get a HELOC right now. Right now. And right now is a little bit too late. But now this the last of the door is quickly closing. Right. I was telling people to get HELOCs a year and a half ago on this app. People are like, well, no, money's available, so you don't have to do that. Okay, now you hear me a little bit. Hopefully you hear me. The door is closing. That's gonna be my new phrase for the next couple months, guys. The door is closing. So get in before the door is closed. You don't have to use it, right? HELOC is different than a loan. If you have any questions about that, just hit me in the back channel. But we're not talking about loans. We're talking about lines of credit that doesn't cost you anything, but can be used in a very, very efficient way. I'm sure I'm jumping in the room later. Not sure if you really went into, and I'll let you dig into. HELOCs can be used very, very efficiently in a great way to use. It's a high level strategy to cancel out interest as well. I'm sure, because again, going to difference between simple interest, I won't get into it for this deal. And I'll let Don go into it, but it's a great way to cancel out other interest. It's a great interest cancellation strategy to use a HELOC or a line of credit, particularly if you only paying simple interest versus compound interest. But that's a different conversation. But go get them at least first. Like you ain't got to go delve into this complicated stuff yet. Just go get the resource if you have the availability to get the resource. Back to you, Don.
Thank you very much, Onaje. Listen, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, we've only got about 5 minutes left in the hour. I'm going to go over on Clubhouse. We're going to let our folks go online here So I'm going to spend just a little bit of time so the folks online can get an understanding of what we're talking about before we have to let them go at the bottom of the hour. We're going to stay on Clubhouse at least another half hour. So don't go anywhere. So listen, folks, here's what we're talking about. And if you're online and you want to hear the rest of this, you go to Clubhouse and find and then we're in the mortgage syndicate this morning. But go ahead and start searching for us and download Clubhouse to get ready to hear the rest of this conversation. So here's John and Rebecca Jones on my screen right now. If you want to see what we have and you're not seeing it right now, click on my 10K card and you'll see watch us live. All right, now get that information and then you can watch us live here. John and Rebecca Jones, all right, they have in their accounts, all right, we're going to be taking a look at that. I'm going to put it up on the screen. They have a HELOC. They've got a mortgage. They've got a car loan. They have, let's see, let me see here. Let me close some of these other windows out so we can, all right, get this done. All right, go ahead. All right, so we have an auto loan. We've got a Visa. We've got a mortgage of $200,000 at 6%, and we've got a HELOC. It has a $3,500 balance on it, but they have a total line of credit of $60,000. $60,000. So, very quickly, Anaje, very quickly, there's another way to get that money out. You could get it out. You could cash out refi, and you could sell the house. If you sell the house to get that $60,000, what happens to that $60,000? If you sell the house,
tax. It's likely going to be taxed, or you got to do a 1031 exchange, which is people say 1031 exchanges are much more simpler than what they are. They're not quite as simple and easy as people think. And likely you're probably, if it's again, you're going to get taxed or likely to get taxed or have to come up with a tax strategy.
So folks, to get access to $60,000 of your money and you don't have to pay taxes, the HELOC is a great solution to that because you don't pay taxes on that money. All right, now what?
Hey,
yes.
Don, if I could jump in one more.
Yes.
A HELOC, $60,000 in a HELOC is not the same capital as $60,000 in cash. One could be used over and over and over again for typically 10 years, and the other one is just spent one time.
Exactly. Exactly. This is a revolving line of credit, folks. So watch this. So liquidity is liquidity. I could have the money in the bank, or I can have the money potentially ready for me at any time in a credit line. Here's what I'm trying to tell everybody. Keeping an inordinate amount of cash online in your bank account, making 0.1% is not a good place for your money, especially if you have debt. If you have debt that's costing you, the average family pays 35 to 39% of their take-home pay just in interest alone. Did you hear that? 35 to 30. And these are well-to-do families. So why would you keep thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars in cash in your bank account just to cover a myriad of things that may or may not happen? Use a credit line to cover that, but you'll also keep cash available. All right. So now here's what we're talking about. So we have over $60,000 in cash available, 60,000 on the HELOC. We have $15,000 available to us to use on a Visa. And here we go. So what you have to determine is when we take a look at this right quick, and we got to let everybody go. Preferences. We're going to take a look at preferences and see how much cash John and Rebecca Jones are keeping on hand. They said now they've looked at their past. It says, we've never spent on emergencies more than $5,000 at any one time. So they can keep $5,000 in the bank. But I need you to watch this. They're going to be out of debt in 9.4 years on all of this. They're going to save $165,000 in interest on this, What if they decided to say, you know what? I want to keep $7,000, or they changed it to $10,000. I want you to see this. I'm going to keep $10,000 in the bank. Watch, I go from 9.4 years to pay off everything to 9.5 years. They can keep $10,000 in the bank so that if they wanted to use their credit card, they could, and then pay the credit card back. But if they wanted to, they can pay the credit card off at any time they wanted with the cash they have in the bank. There's no reason to keep $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in the bank to cover these things when I can keep a small amount of cash, have credit lines to cover everything else. And if I wanted to, if I had my air conditioner broke down, if my refrigerator went out, if I had to make a major car repair, I can put it on the credit card and I could use the cash to pay that off anytime I needed to. So folks, I want to thank everybody who's been here with us for the last 2 hours. Everybody that's online, we're going to say goodbye. We're going to be right back here on Wednesday, but I need you to hear from Dr. Eric Thomas one more time as we say goodbye. Hang on to everybody in Clubhouse. Hang on. See you on Wednesday. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, and our team created the most powerful money management, wealth building, debt elimination system ever created. At our recent seminar in Nashville, Tennessee, the keynote speech was delivered by the #1 motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. E.T., as he's also known, mentioned he paid off his mortgage in 4 years using the P.I.L.L Method. I invite you to watch and listen.
Listen to me, y'all. Well, one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that? No mortgage, no stress. If you would like to become debt and mortgage free within an average of 7 to 9 years by cutting your interest costs by up to 75%, go to pillmethod.com and request a savings and earnings report today.